from the National News Studio, Sri Lanka.
A pleasant evening and a very warm welcome to the national news of Rupavahini on ChannelEye. I'm Dilanjali Ananda. Joining me is Uvin Hetiarachi, and these are the top stories which have made headlines for tonight. Shashi Veerasinghe appeals against her sentence. Sri Lanka scores an excellent victory over Bangladesh in the second test match. Measures are in place to commence productions at Sapagaskanda oil refinery. It has been emphasized that a decision has not been taken to increase public sector salaries. The Indian Prime Minister rejects a request to take over Kachapil Island. Russian forces make strong moves to capture Ukraine's Luhansk. Now for those and other stories in detail. Shashi Veerasinghe, who was found guilty of obtaining a diplomatic passport by presenting false information, has filed an appeal against the judgment. The attorneys at law who are representing her have handed over the appeal to the Colombo High Court this noon. She was sentenced to 2-year rigorous imprisonment and a fine of 100,000 rupees. She has appealed through her lawyers to discharge her by declaring she is not guilty. The bail application was called today at the official chamber of Colombo Additional Magistrate Harshna Kakunevela. Colombo Magistrate Court said that the request of her lawyers would be considered on the 30th.
Meantime, Sri Lanka beat Bangladesh by 10 wickets in the second test match. Sri Lanka won the series 1-0. The match was played at Mirpur, Shahebal Gala National Stadium in Bangladesh. Sri Lanka scored 506 runs in their first innings as a reply to Bangladesh's first innings of 365. At the commencement of the final day's play today, Bangladesh was 34 for 4 wickets. First wickets of the day, Mushafiqur Rahim, who fell for 23 runs. Thereafter, Litton Das and Shakib Al Hasan built a partnership of 103 for the 6th wicket. Litton Das was dismissed at 52 and Shakib Al Hasan at 58. Bangladesh were all out for 169 in their second innings. Asith Fernando took 6 wickets for 51 runs. His total wicket haul was 10 wickets for 144 runs in this match. He is the first fast bowler to take 10 wickets in a test match after Chaminda Was. Earlier, Chaminda Was performed the feat in 1995 and 2001. Sri Lanka was given an easy target of 29 runs to win the match. Asith Fernando and Dimuth Karunaratne commenced Sri Lanka's second innings and won the match without losing any wickets. This is the 5th occasion Sri Lanka has won a test series against Bangladesh in their country. Sri Lanka won the test series in 2006, 2008, 2014 and 2018. Asith Fernando was the man of the match. Angelo Matthews was judged the man of the series. With the victory, Sri Lanka moved up to the 4th place in World Test rankings.
විකට් එක ගන්න ලේසි කසුනායට thank you. එයාත් ගොඩක් support කරා මට.
Like to come across Angela after you receive that. This 2022 powered by Walton, the trophy handed over by Mr. Najmul Hassan and collected by Dimuth Karunaratne.
In both test matches, in the first test as well as in the second test here. So proud series winners, Sri Lanka in Bangladesh, 1-0.
Sri Lanka team, which won the series with Bangladesh, is scheduled to arrive in the island tomorrow.
Meanwhile, Sri Lanka-Australia series is scheduled to commence on the 7th. All matches of the series will be telecast live over ChannelEye of Rupavahini. Three T20 matches, 5 one-day internationals and 2 test matches are included in the series, which will be played from 7th June to 12th July. The first one-day match will be played on the 14th June at Pallekali International Cricket Stadium. The second match will be played at the same place on the 16th of June. The 3rd, 4th and 5th matches will be played on June 19th, 21st and 24th at R. Premadasa Stadium in Colombo. So far, Sri Lanka and Australia have played 97 one-day international matches. Out of that, Australia won 61 and Sri Lanka 32 matches. 4 matches ended in draws. Australia played a one-day series for the last time in 2016. Australia won that series 4-1. Kumar Sangakkara is the highest scorer of one-day matches between Sri Lanka and Australia. He scored 1,675 runs in 43 matches. Lasith Malinga is the highest wicket taker with 48 wickets in 28 matches.
Minister Kanchana Wijesekara says that services at Sapgastan, the oil refinery, will commence. In a Twitter message, he has said that oil production of the refinery will commence within the next 6 days. The message said there are 23,022 metric tons of diesel, 2,588 metric tons of super diesel, 39,968 metric tons of octane 92 petrol, 7,112 metric tons of octane 95 petrol and 3,578 metric tons of aviation fuel. Queues can be seen further in Colombo and in surroundings. However, our reporters said there are no queues near filling stations in some districts including Kaluthara, Anuradhapura and Polonnaruwa. Fuel is being provided to farmers in Badulla districts. Officials of the divisional secretariat have been deployed to monitor the distribution. 4 fuel stations at Kapetipola, Bandaravela, Mahayangane and Badulla have been reserved to issue fuel to farmers. Farmers in Anuradhapura Nachadua settlement have refrained from cultivating due to a lack of fertilizer and fuel. Farmers said although 12,000 acres of paddy were cultivated in the Yala season, a small number of paddy fields were cultivated this time. It is reported that there is a racket of collecting fuel diesel to barrels through certain buses in Hatton town. Reporters say diesel is collected from barrels from fuel tanks of the buses that operate short distances daily from Hatton private bus stand. Other vehicle owners who are waiting in the queue say the racket is conducted by keeping buses in queues with diesel. Gas shops which store gas have commenced selling wood with the prevailing gas shortage. Owners of the shops say they get a good income. A ship carrying a stock of gas is scheduled to reach the country today. Accordingly, Litro Gas believes they will be able to distribute gas soon. However, the gas company said they will not be able to distribute gas tomorrow. A discussion took place yesterday on implementing a program to provide burnt oil and diesel for generators of the local industrialists through private companies which provide fuel to naval activities. The discussions took place between the Minister Kanchana Wijesekara and officials of the Petroleum Corporation. It was disclosed that it would lead to a management of stocks obtained from filling stations and terminals to barrels and other containers. The Minister of Ports, Naval and Airport Services say that media reports stating airline fuel is limited are false. This was disclosed during a discussion between Minister Nimal Siripala De Silva and the management of Airport Services Authority. The management of the authority said the present stocks are sufficient for the next 6 days and the fuel stocks can be issued without a delay after commencing work at Sapgastan, the oil refinery. Russia says that Sri Lanka has made a request to purchase oil.
The Russian Foreign Ministry says that they are looking into methodologies to meet this request. Russian RIA Novosti news agency published a statement issued by the Russian Foreign Ministry in connection with providing oil to Sri Lanka. It has said that the Russian government is expeditiously looking at the measures that can be taken on the request made by Sri Lanka. The Russian Foreign Ministry said that still time is not sufficient to make a statement. Russian embassy in Sri Lanka issued a statement yesterday that the request to get oil from Sri Lanka is being considered.
Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe says that a special statement will be made in Parliament next week about the country's economic situation. He said that many countries have agreed to provide aid to Sri Lanka. Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe said that a plan should be presented to solve the economic crisis. Although many countries have agreed to assist, G7 countries have also proposed solutions for the country's debt problem. They have asked to request India and China to be requested to assist Sri Lanka. The World Bank and IMF have announced they would support Sri Lanka. China has informed they would like to assist the country. CEOs of Indian companies in Sri Lanka are prepared to lend their support. They also agreed to bring in new investments as soon as the economic stability is created after the crisis. The World Bank supporting US is supporting us. They have diverted funds allocated for other projects. The IMF expects to provide a large amount when the agreement is reached with them. The Prime Minister said he discussed with the IMF and the officials, and an agreement has been reached on some basic factors after solving problems. 2 weeks are available to prepare to the program in this regard. Thereafter, the IMF representatives would come to the country. Examining the plan and expected to reach an agreement, more attention has been paid due to the global situation. The inflation has increased due to Ukraine and Russian war. Many countries will face a similar economic crisis. Global Economic Forum meeting has announced that 70 countries will face various problems if the crisis continues for some more months. According to my opinion, if the crisis continues until the end of the year, at least 25 countries will be severely affected. The funds in Europe and US are used for the Ukrainian war, and therefore the aid we can get will be reduced. Therefore, we have prepared a plan by identifying shortcomings to get all the assistance that can be obtained. If this is postponed, the opportunity to get aid would be lost.
පස්සේ එකඟතාවයකට එන්න බලාපොරොත්තු වෙන්නේ. ඒකඟතාවය මම බලන්න පුළුවන් තරම් ශීඝ්‍රයෙන් ලබා ගන්න.
The Prime Minister's Media Division says that the Prime Minister has not taken his decision to increase salaries of state sector employees as published in certain media reports. A statement issued by the Prime Minister's Media Division said that except for the Ministries of Health and Education, allocations of all other ministries will be reduced by the forthcoming interim relief budget, and steps will be taken to provide relief. President Gotabaya Rajapaksa says that the result of the educational reforms process is to create an economically productive and a morally sound citizen.
The President mentioned this during a discussion this morning at the President's house in connection with measures that should be given priority and implemented soon in the education sector. The draft of the National Education Policy has been completed. Officials of the National Education Commission said it will be presented within the next few weeks. Attention was paid on the GCE O-level and GCE A-level and the scholarship examination and the limits covering the syllabus. The Education Minister officials thanked the various sectors who supported to conduct the O-level examination. The President said many groups acted on the behalf of the future generation and provided good precedent to the society. A lengthy discussion took place on the national education reforms process. Minister Susil Premajayant said that they expect to implement reforms which correctly show the path for children who leave the school. President pointed out the need to prepare for the syllabus, giving the opportunity to all students to follow information technology subjects, irrespective of the field selected. President Gotabaya Rajapaksa says that the present minds of the children have to be entered the university. Mother says to pass scholarship O-level and A-level examinations to enter university. That will work in their minds. There's a lot of opportunities including technical colleges, tertiary education institutions. Their mind should be directed on that path as well.
එතකොට එයාගේ මනස හදලා තියෙන්නේ එතෙන්ටම යන්නම. හැබැයි මේ මනස හැදෙනව නම් මේකේ තව ටෙක්නිකල් කොලෙජස් වලට යන්න පුළුවන්, වෙනත් මේ තෘතීය අධ්‍යාපනයක් ලබන්න පුළුවන්, එතනින්ම යන්න පුළුවන්. ඉස්සර වගේ නෙවෙයිනේ. අද ශාස්ත්‍ර විශාල සංඛ්‍යාවක් තියෙනවනේ.
Minister of Education Susil Premajayant said if the children can go to Universitech, they would not drop out. The students who do not go to universities can enter institutions such as German Tech, SLIT and Universitech without wasting time, and they can even become an engineer. Attention was paid on several aspects, including school development, uniforms, textbooks and teacher training. President Secretary Gamin Senrat, President's Head of Staff Anra Disanaika, Education Ministry Secretary M.N. Ranasinghe and heads of relevant organizations were present at the occasion.
Now, Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi has rejected a request by Tamil Nadu Chief Minister to acquire Kachathev Island again. Prime Minister Modi has said India should support people in Sri Lanka who are facing economic difficulties. Sri Lanka acquired Kachathev Island in 1976 under Indo-Sri Lanka Maritime Boundary Agreement. However, Indian fishermen are influenced in the Indian government to take over the island, pointing out it can provide facilities for fishing and to use the island as an intermediary place for the industry. Tamil Nadu Chief Minister M.K. Stalin has made a request to Indian Prime Minister to take measures to take over the island again. Addressing a function in Chennai, the Indian Prime Minister has rejected the request. He has said that as the closest friendly state, India is giving full support to Sri Lanka as it is facing a difficult moment. Prime Minister Modi has said India is not only providing financial assistance but also provides medicine, medicinal equipment, food and other essential items. He also said India supports Sri Lanka to get international assistance. Meanwhile, a meeting took place between Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida, the sidelines of Quad State Leaders Summit in Japan. They have paid their attention on Sri Lanka's situation. The Japanese Prime Minister has said they are prepared to support Sri Lanka along with India.
A party leaders meeting on the 21st Amendment to the Constitution took place today under the patronage of Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe at the Temple Trees. The objective of the meeting was to give opportunity for the party leaders to make their observations and present proposals on the draft bill. The party leaders agreed that the 21st Amendment should be passed soon as possible. Since the Tamil National Alliance did not come for today's meeting, it was decided at the discussion to complete the draft by holding the final meeting on the 3rd with the attendance of TNA. Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe said if further explanations are needed by any stakeholders, it can be obtained from the Justice Minister.
Now, the IMF has reaffirmed their commitment to support Sri Lanka in line with their policies. The IMF has said it will continue to monitor the economic and political situation very closely and engage with the authorities to formulate concentrate measures under an IMF support program as well as border stakeholders to support a timely resolution of the crisis. This has been mentioned following an International Monetary Fund team led by Mr. Peter Brewer and MP Masahiro Nozaki conducted a virtual mission with the Sri Lankan authorities from 9th to 24th May on the economic program that could be supported by an IMF lending agreement. The IMF team met Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe at the concluding meeting following technical discussions with the economic team led by Central Bank Governor Dr. Nandalal Veerasinghe and Secretary to the Treasury Mahinda Siriwardena. The team also met other stakeholders. It has said that the team made good progress in assessing the economic situation and in identifying policy priorities to be taken going forward. The discussions focused on restoring fiscal sustainability while protecting the vulnerable and poor, ensuring credibility of the monetary policy and exchange rate regimes, preserving financial sector stability and structural reforms to enhance growth and strengthen governance.
The petitions against the 21st Amendment to the Constitution was taken up today. Attorneys of the petitioners mentioned in the Supreme Court that certain clauses in the draft bill presented by Samak Janabalavega in Parliament violate the sovereignty and the universal franchise of the people. This was revealed in 5 petitions filed seeking an order stating certain provisions of the Pride members' motion presented in Parliament recently by the Samajana Vega General Secretary MP Ranjit Madhumandara and Ministers Vijaydas Rajapaksa in 21st and 22nd Amendments were against the Constitution. The petition were heard on the second day today before Chief Justice Jayantha Jayasuriya, Justices Janat De Silva and Arjuna Sekara. Appealing on behalf of the petitioners, President's Counsel Manohara De Silva said that it has proposed to reduce the President's term and it violates the universal franchise of the people. He requested the court to decide it should be passed by 2/3 majority in Parliament followed by a referendum if the draft is to be legalised.
And we'll be back with more news from home after this break.
හොඳම දේ විශ්වාසයෙන් ට්‍රීට් කරන්න. Prima Treats. Life is a treat.
Welcome back. We continue with more news from home. Now, President Gotabaya Rajapaksa has requested veterans in the electricity field to support and add renewable energy sources to the national grid.
It is expected to promote rooftop solar panels as well. The President mentioned this during a discussion yesterday at the President's house. The discussion took place to look into problems when getting renewable energy sources to generate electricity. President Gotabaya Rajapaksa said that officials informed him that they have the capacity to solve the problem. If they solve the technical problems, we will be able to solve their problems as well. Everyone knows that these problems can be solved through solar power and other renewable energy sources. Rooftop solar systems should be promoted. There is an opinion that electricity board engineers were against these methods. The officials should work in cooperation to eliminate such opinions.
පුළුවන් තරම් අපි ප්‍රොමෝට් කරලා ඒව ටික දෙන්න. අමතනම මතයක් තියෙනවා CB එකට ඉන්ජිනියර්ස්ලා මේකට විරුද්ධයි කියලා. ඉතින් මේක නැති කරගන්න ඔයගොල්ලෝ මෙතන සහයෝගයෙන් ඇතුව මේක ඉක්මන් කරලා කරන්න.
The government has targeted to get 70% of the electricity demand through renewable energy sources. There is a possibility of generating nearly 700 megawatts of power through solar energy. However, people believe it has not been met due to the opposition of the electricity board engineers. The President said present economic crisis can be solved while correcting this opinion. Many countries generate electricity through solar power. The President said rooftop solar panel system should be used as a speedy solution to the electricity crisis. Secretary to the Ministry of Environment, Dr. Anil Jaisingh, said that they have given a target of 70% of renewable energy by 2030. The President mentioned it at COP26. It has been published globally. This is the international trend. We have wind power and solar power, but without incentivizing them, we allow obstruction of free resources. A group of people, including the President's Secretary Gamir Senrath, President's Head of Staff Anurag Dissanayake, Ministry Secretaries and heads of relevant organizations attended the discussion. Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe says $600 million will be required to ensure adequate supply of fertilizer.
The Prime Minister said the Essential Agricultural Supplies Act, which would ensure uninterrupted supply and distribution of agricultural materials, will be presented in Parliament. The Prime Minister mentioned this during discussions with representatives from the agricultural sector to discuss pending food shortage in the country. He instructed the officials to identify underutilized land in the urban areas which could be cultivated. He said that the situation in the country is serious and requires a combined effort to overcome it.
Janatha Vimukti Peramana says that powers of the President from the 21st Amendment to the Constitution should be entrusted with the new Prime Minister elected by a general election. Leader of the party, Anurag Dissanayake, mentioned this during a media briefing today. Leader of the Janata Vimukti Peramuna, Anurakkumara Dissanayake, said that the President should not be able to hold any ministerial portfolios as mentioned in the 19th Amendment. The constitutional amendment should include provisions to prevent crossovers by parliamentarians. There should be limitations to the clause of the presidential pardon. There should be proposals preventing dual citizens contesting for important institutions. The assets of the parliamentarians should be subjected to audit. The official terms of the parliament should be limited to 2 or 3 years. Thereafter, the people can elect parliament and a prime minister through the general election. The protest in front of the presidential secretariat at Golface Green is being held to the 49th day today.
People arrived at the place last night and engaged in the protest. They were staging their protest from the morning today, shouting various slogans. The protest in front of the temple trees is taking place for the 15th day. Tomorrow is the 50th day of the struggle. Trade unions and civil organizations expressed their views during a media briefing in Colombo today about the protests that have been organized island-wide.
Several new products of the Sri Lanka Ayurveda Drugs Corporation were launched today at its premises. The new products include some tablets and face wash. The ceremony was held under the patronage of former Secretary to the Ministry of Indigenous Medicine, Kumari Veerasekara. A group of people, including the chairman of the Sri Lanka Ayurveda Drugs Corporation, Sagala Vikrama, and Ayurveda Commissioner, Dr. M.D.J. Abhigunawardena, were present on the occasion. We will be back with foreign news after a short break.
Pantan.
Welcome back. On foreign news, it's the update of the Ukraine crisis. The Ukrainian city of Severodonetsk is the center of fierce fighting in the east.
The mayor said at least 1,500 people have been killed in Severodonetsk and about 12,000 to 13,000 remain in the city, where he said 60% of the residential buildings have been destroyed. Severodonetsk is the only part of the Luhansk region in Donbass under the Ukrainian government control. The Ukrainian officials said the main road between the neighboring town of Lysychansk and Bakhmut to the southwest remain open, but travel is dangerous. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky has accused Russia of carrying out obvious policy of genocide in his country's eastern Donbass region. Russia's offensive in Donbass could end up leaving the region uninhibited, he said, accusing the Russians of wanting to reduce its cities to ashes.
Now, a spectacular red lightning was captured by Chinese photographers in Himalayas, southwest China's Tibet Autonomous Region recently. Short-lived and elusive, each one lasting just a few milliseconds, the red lightning created a fantastic show resembling fireworks exploding over the mountains. The lightnings occurred densely, basically striking every 1 or 2 minutes. The red lightning is timed, may be the most prominent one of its kind witnessed in China.
Joseon royal tombs inscribed in UNESCO's World Heritage are open to public on May and June in Goang. King Sukong, the 19th kid of the Joseon dynasty, has been the source of several historical dramas with tumultuous political events and palace intrigues during his reign. The visitors are participating in special opening of the royal tombs in Sorong, and the royal tombs were opened twice last year due to the pandemic. This year, with social distancing rules lifted, 3 such gatherings in the first half of the year were sold out only in 2 hours, prompting 4 more openings to be scheduled in the second half of the year. First trails in the Joseon Royal Tomb in cities including Sumer and Paju are open to the public.
Now on your sports news, it's cricket, and not just cricket, it's the women's cricket teams. That Pakistan and Sri Lanka took place in Karachi. The second T20 match was held, and unfortunately Sri Lankans did not make it this time, and Pakistan won the match over Sri Lanka with 6 wickets.
Batting first, Sri Lankan's women's team scored 102 for 6 wickets in the 20 overs. Hasni Pereira scored 35 and Nilakshi Silva scored 21 runs. In reply, Pakistan women's team won the match by scoring 104 for 3 wickets in 17.1 overs. Aisha Nazim was knocked out in 45 and Elise Bisma Maharoof was not out on 22.
That's all the news we have for tonight. Do join us tomorrow at 8:50 p.m. for the primetime news of Rupavahini on ChannelEye. For tonight, I'm Delanjali together with Uvin signing off. Good night.